Welcome, everyone, to the Dr. Blue Duck podcast. And today I'm super excited because we have the OG gaming dad here. The OG, and I say OG because I don't know if he's really the original gaming dad, but to me, he's
I
the
think I
original gaming dad. He is,
am.
because I started watching him before there was a lot of gaming dads. And I think I began watching his stuff during the kind of like during the pandemic. And he was kind of an inspiration to me and someone who encouraged me to actually start this channel or start a channel a long time ago. So, David, gaming dad, why don't you go ahead and tell us how did you get started with video games online?
Oh man, listen, this is a very unique story. First of all, let me say shout out to this machine right here. This Switch Lite was how I got started, but it was it's kind of funny. Now the Switch Lite came out on I think September the 20th of 2019. But on September the 10th, I'm in a Walmart. And I'm getting my oil change. If you ever been to Walmart, you know, you go in there and you naturally, if you're a gamer, go to the gaming section. So, I knew this machine was coming. And so I just happened to go to the gaming section and I look up on the shelf and there, behold, is a yellow Switch Lite. And I asked the lady, I said, "Hey, can I buy that?" And she said, "Oh, absolutely." She walked on over there and opened the case and pulled it out and it rang up, no problem. I said, "Okay." I went to my car, started taking pictures of it, texting my friends. And so my friends was like, "Oh man, you should make an unboxing video." I said, "But I just unboxed it right here on my car because I just got out there." And so I went home, made an unboxing video. But before I made the unboxing video, like most YouTubers, we have our favorite YouTubers, so I reached out to Obi-Wan Plays live on his stream. Oh, he dissed me. Oh, no, you're lying. With the Player Essence, he did the same thing. He dissed me. So that I posted some pictures on my Twitter page, and Spawnwave picked it up. This Spawnwave emailed me, said, "Hey, can I share these pictures?" I said, "Absolutely." And so once that happened, I went and did the unboxing video. And it was, if you look at that video on my YouTube channel, it was trash, but it worked. And so and I went to sleep and woke up, I had 50,000 views. It was like, whoa. And then I had people kind of just saying, "Hey man, can you play games on this thing? Can you show some games being played on it?" And so I said, "Yeah." So I started recording stuff, and then I had my son play Fortnite, and he played Fortnite on that thing, and that video jumped to 100,000 views. And from there, I kept getting people asking me to play videos on it. So I started off just kind of just recording videos on the Switch Lite and posted them, and then it just spiraled out of control. And then probably about maybe like 8 months in, uh, I've always wanted to kind of work for Nintendo in some capacity. And so I was like, you know what? Let me just do a news show. I figured out like, hey, I got an iPad, I got a news feed on my iPad. I can get the stories from there, and I can just talk about it. And then I said, also I can just kind of use other YouTubers as sources of information to kind of build it all into one show. And so This Week in Gaming was birthed from there, and I've been doing it ever since.
So, for those who aren't familiar with your channel, you do some live streaming where you get on there and you talk to people, you interact with them, you talk about gaming news, you give out Nintendo eShop cards. I mean,
Every
it's
Monday.
it's a good time. And what's so neat about your channel, David, when you're doing the live streams, it's really not all about you. It's about your community, it's about your audience, and you really sense that when you watch those, and there's times where I'm just doing something, I might be organizing something in my office or whatever, and I'll just put that on and I'll just listen to you because there's something different about your live streams compared to other people, and there's something like, I almost wanna say, like, nurturing about it, and I'm sure you remember this live stream because it was super powerful. You were on there and you were talking, and some guys were getting on there. They're probably younger guys, and they were saying like, they appreciate you so much and that you are like a dad figure to them.
Oh man, yeah.
And and I think you kinda got teared up a little bit. I mean, it was like a really emotional moment. I'm like, "Oh my gosh." I'm like walking around my house with my phone just like, "This is powerful. This is neat stuff what, gaming dad is doing here." So, you wanna talk about those live streams at all?
Oh man, listen, yeah, of course. That particular live stream, in the real world outside of live streaming, I am a special ed teacher, and I teach your emotional behavior disorders. So I pretty much teach all your high school students who get discarded, and I'm kind of like that last stop before they get expelled. And so I'm the teacher that deals with the kids that other teachers won't deal with. So when
Do
I
you
get
teach
those
high
kids,
school or junior
mm,
high? Do you teach high school or
high
junior
school,
high?
I
High
teach high
school.
school, and then I coach basketball on the middle school level.
Yes, and I can totally relate to that because I'm a high school art teacher, so I've been teaching
Oh
high
man.
school for about 20 years, so I know exactly what students you're talking about, man.
So that particular episode, one of my former students, he had a pretty rough situation, and where um his mom and dad wasn't the best moms and dads. It got to a point where he was living almost homeless, and so during his high school career, we let him live with us for like about 3 months, and got him, kind of got him together. But then, of course, like most high school students, they meet a young lady and then they lose their mind.
Yeah.
So for 3 months, he kind of stayed with us, and so but in my classroom, I tell these kids that, a teacher's real job is to serve. And if that teacher doesn't have the mindset to be willing to serve a student, no matter where he at, no matter what his background, what has happened, if you're not trying to do that, then you're not a real teacher. That's my opinion. And so these kids understood that they never had a teacher that showed them the abundance of love that I give them. Kids that enter my classroom, I treat them like my own kids. When they're doing something right, I give them my all. When they're doing something wrong, I give them my all. And so this particular kid, has put himself in a position where he can be successful and be productive, and he was, willing to give back and willing to, express how much that he understands now as an adult, that I was trying my best to prepare him for what was coming. And so it's always nice to hear those kind of things. Being a Christian, what, I never wanted to be about me. And so it was, a compliment sometimes is really hard for me to take. And I'm like, I don't want it to be about me. I know who's about is about God. God put me in that situation. I'm just serving. I'm doing what every human should be doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that was very powerful. So on my show, we talk about a lot of gaming news, but I like to go through every comment if I can. My channel is not super big by any stretch of the imagination, and I when they communicate, I like to communicate back, and and then sometimes, we veer off. We talk about real life things, and how those things kind of come into play, especially being a dad, especially being a father, trying to balance all these different things. And we all deal with real situations, from people who have parents who are sick and elderly. On my show, at the end of every show, I pray. I pray for my people to come to spend their time with me. Time is short. I think about it like this here. If you took a smidgen of your time on this earth and you decided to spend it with me, I am grateful. And you know what? And at the end of the show, I want God to bless those who are willing to just listen. And some people, who are really hard on God, I want them to see an image when it comes to me, that God is love and He loves you, no matter if we're playing video games or not. You know what? Your life matters. If you're on my show, I care about you. I love my community. I absolutely love them, because they challenge me. They crack jokes. They get on to me when I'm right. Get on to me when I'm wrong. They encourage me when I'm right, and they know, they get a sense that I care about them too. So it's to me, as a creator, it's more therapeutic than anything else. I get
And
it's like my therapy session on Monday
definitely.
nights.
I wanna encourage people to check out your channel because there is a community involved in that, and even though
Absolutely.
your live streams don't have, like, 100,000 people live at that moment, there's real interactions that are taking place. There's a real community, and I know you were talking about that one student who was your actual student in your class, but I remember that live stream, and there were other guys on there too saying, "Man, you know, you're encouragement to me. You're like a dad to me too." And so it wasn't just that one guy. There was a lot of people saying that, and that that's a huge testimony. Being a believer, being a Christian, I think that's just a great mindset is that we are servants.
That's right.
And when I was in high school, I got a letter from someone in my church, and he signed it, "Your humble servant."
Mm,
It is the first time I ever saw a letter signed like that, "Your humble servant," because he was a man and I was just right out of high school, and he wrote me a letter. I was like, "Here's this established guy in the church, and he's saying he's a servant," and it just kind of it did something to me. It kinda made me, think differently about our purpose, that our purpose is to serve, and as teachers, we're definitely service, uh members in our society. We provide service. Our job is to love on these kids no matter what. And as believers in the church, we're called to be servants. And as fathers, we're called to be servants. As husbands, we're called to be servants. It's when we see that in the whole live stream atmosphere online, we don't always see that idea. A lot of it's just these streamers and people trying to just be about them to get themselves
mhm.
to like 100,000 followers and then a million subs and followers. And you could tell it's just that they're just putting in the hours to get
Yeah.
the attention, to get the views. And that's their thing. I'm not putting it down, but I feel like you're and me and people believers are called to a higher calling where it's not about the numbers, it's not about the money, it's about the community that we can serve people and hopefully to lead them to Christ in some way.
Absolutely.
Now,
Absolutely.
you're a gaming dad here, and you're really a gaming dad.
Hmm.
I mean, obviously, I am too. I have two little boys, but how many kids do you have?
I have 6 in total. I have 1, my daughter Eliza, she was born stillborn. She's in heaven with the Lord. Um, but I have some wonderful children. I have 3 in college. Hold on. Make sure no, excuse me. Now this year will be 4 in college and 1 left in high school. And so yeah, it's an experience.
Now
Financially, it's an
oh oh, yeah.
experience.
Yeah. I bet. My kids are at the age right now where you can just go buy them a $5 toy at Five Below, and they're as happy as heck. But once cars come around and proms and
Oh
formals and
man, listen.
college,
Oh man.
I'm scared, man. I'm scared.
I have 1 more.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have 1 more.
yeah, that's hard. Um, but how do you do that? What's your advice? Because this channel is geared for gaming dads to bring some encouragement and community to gaming dads. So, how do you balance being a full-time teacher and then you're coaching and being a husband and being a dad of so many kids and then having a hobby of gaming on top of that? And it
On
looks like,
top.
you look like a fit guy. It looks like you take care of your health, you probably
Yeah.
exercise. What is your advice? I mean, you're doing it, man. You're doing it. What is your advice to these gaming dads out here struggling?
Oh, 2 things. 1, always begin your day with prayer. Always end your day with prayer. And listen, I'm gonna add one more. Always begin your day with some form of reading of the Lord's word, and always end your day. Um, and I refer back to Psalms 1. Psalms 1 says, "We meditate on His word night and day. That everything that we do will prosper." So that's one, is getting yourself, in line with the Creator first. Um, the second thing that's non-biblical that you should do. I'm a to-do list guy. You know what? If I'm at the end of the night, I'm writing things down that I want to accomplish, and then and sometimes I don't. But you sometimes so many things you got going on that your accomplishments throughout the day get lost in the struggle. So sometimes having a to-do list kind of holds you accountable to things that needs to be done, and then schedule time. You have to like I give myself like today, I got some edits to do, and some more recording to do, but I'm giving myself a 2 hour block. Like that's all I'm doing. And at that, when that's over, that's over. Finish it tomorrow. And I make sure that I plan time with my children, that I make sure that I structure that no matter if we're going to make some juices. Well, 'cause I'm a big juicer. And the Bible also says, you should fast. And so I'm a big faster, I believe in those times, and you have to make sure that you are scheduling these times and not neglecting the ones that you love the most. So I make sure I schedule time with my wife. I make sure I schedule time with my children, and I make sure I schedule time for my gaming. No matter if it just, if I commit to a half an hour to 45 minutes, then that's my time. And when my little timer, hold on, I gotta show you something.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, I have a timer.
There you
Okay,
go.
this is one of the best things. Let me see if you can get a closer view of this here.
Yeah, I
Come on,
see it.
don't face it.
There you go.
This is one of the best things you can buy. They sell them on Amazon, and
Yeah,
they battery powered, but they last forever. And you know what? I'll turn that thing and give me a timer, and when
yeah,
it go bing, I say, well, I got
done.
to hit save, and that'll
Yeah,
be my time. And so this way, it allows me to continue to not allow things to build up upon me.
yeah, and
Yeah,
man, I love juicing. I haven't juiced in a while, but I went through my juicing phase. I need to get back into it because I
you
felt
got to get
so
back
good, man.
into it, man.
And when I
Oh
was
man.
juicing, I wasn't doing like, some people juice and they just do tons of just fruits and it's just tons and tons of sugar. I was doing a lot of greens and I was throwing a little bit of fruit in there just to kind of give it some sort of a taste that you could tolerate. But man, I was putting celery and spinach and I was
Oh
feeling
man.
really good. I need to get back into that's a good
Yeah, man,
reminder.
celery is so good, man. You know what?
Yeah,
People don't understand the benefits health wise that it is to juicing because we get so used to grabbing something and putting it into our mouth. But you know what? Your body is constantly working to digest food. It can't work on anything else is breaking down. So you got to give yourself some a solid food holiday away from just eating solid foods and allow yourself to juice. I tell you, you do that. You fast from solid foods. Give yourself like a 24-hour period. You do that on a regular. You'll start to see your body transform. Your health will get better. Things that you was having issues with will definitely drastically change. I'm a firm believer that your kitchen is your medicine. And you know what you put into your body is so crucial. So juicing, man, that's been like probably the best investment I could have ever made in the last 3 years, hands down.
that's great. And then being a dad, that's going to be an example to your kids as well.
Absolutely. Cause you know what? We set the foundation. You know what? If we are always abusing our bodies and we ain't taking care of our bodies, how do I expect my children to do the same?
Exactly. David, gaming dad, I have another question here,
Go
and
ahead.
maybe we can come into the end of this interview here. Thank you so much for being on. But I mean, you're a member of your church, you're involved, you're super active, you're a dad, you're a husband, you're doing all these things in life. Do you ever get any criticism of how can you be a Christian and play video games? Or aren't video games
Oh man, that's
bad and evil? And why are you spending your time with talking about video games? And if so, like what how do you confront that?
oh man, that's an excellent question. Never um I haven't no one has really approached me in that manner yet, but I can see people could. Um and I look at it like this here. I'm it's not my God in my life. It's something that I enjoy. And as long as is I'm a firm believer that your mind you always have to think positively. And you got to think like, what is these things for? God allowed these things to be created and happen. And a lot of times when you're playing video games, it's not to glorify evil. Sometimes it's the thoughts of good versus evil. And that's something we're fighting continuously. When we play certain video games, it's like, you know what? You're trying to conquer, you're trying to win something. Sometimes you just need to have time to and you find something that you enjoy. Now, am I playing a bunch of games that are super demonic? No, I'm listen. I'm a Nintendo fan for a reason. You know,
Yeah,
there's certain
yeah,
games that I like that are in the balance of being child friendly, but it's something that as long as I keep things in balance, you have to make sure that not only are am I serving the Lord and making him a priority, that I don't play video games so much that it's the priority. And if you look at my life, video games is very, even though I love this show, I love what I do, but on the total point of time and balance, it don't come nowhere close to my time that do serving the Lord. Right now, talking about God openly is a part of service because people need to understand your passion for who you serve. I'm gonna challenge your viewers on this aspect. Always remember that the same God that said, "Let there be light," lives in those who believe in him. If you love Jesus and if he is your Lord and Savior, that power lives in you. He said, "Let there be light," and it was done. That kind of power he gives to those who he chose. If you believe in your heart that's who he is, then everything else will come into play.
yeah.
Everything else will come into play. So I just challenge your viewers, just remind yourself of who you are in Christ and make sure that, a matter of fact, I was reading the book of Exodus today, going through Exodus 2020. That's the 10 commandments. And you know what? Thou shalt not have no other God above me. Right. So don't make video games your gods. It's not my God. It's a form of entertainment. And that's what it is in a spot of entertainment. It's not something that I do constantly every day. It's not something that I do for, all day long, but it's a form of entertainment that God has allowed me the opportunity to have.
Yeah. And I appreciate you saying that because I know there's some men, there's some dads that do struggle where they use video games as not a way just to relax for a little bit, but they use it as a way to escape the responsibilities or to escape their life.
Mhm.
And to some people who have experienced maybe those struggles, they see video games as a bad thing. And I
Yeah,
think what you're one thing you're saying is that anytime we take anything and worship it or make it our God or put it before the Lord, it is going to be a bad thing. That
that's
could be
right.
our
That's right.
fitness, that could be a video game, that could be reading, that could be
Mhm.
watching TV.
Yep.
So
It could be the focus on your kids.
yeah, yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So anything we put before the Lord is going to be a bad thing. So I that's one reason I wanted you on the show because I feel like you have a very balanced life, to put the Lord first, put your family first, to do all that and to do it well, and you have done it successfully for a long time. So for those gaming dads out there that maybe struggle to find that balance, I think your advice is powerful. We find really our balance, we find it in the Lord.
That's right.
We put it, just as you said, wake up reading the word, wake up praying, go to sleep praying, meditate on the word day and night. That's
and
great
and d-
stuff.
and don't forget the Lord throughout the day. And sometimes you need to break away, and your prayer sometimes doesn't have to be formal and on your knees. Sometimes you got to say, "Lord, hey, I need you."
Yeah.
You know what? The power of the tongue has two functions: to bring life and death. You know what? If the Lord lives inside you, you have the right to speak life. Lord, I need you. You are Lord. Saying that throughout the day just reminds God of who He God. Or sometimes you got to remind God, like, listen, you Lord, you put to solve this. This is not my burden to carry anyway. So I want to say that also to your viewers is that don't listen to me and look at me and say, like, hey, I got it perfect. No, man, I struggle. I go through real situations like everyone else. But when you know who you serve, you sit back and say, no matter what's going on, the good and the bad, he said he causes it all for his glory. So I understand that, you know what? I'll sit back and say, Lord, whenever you're ready for me to move, whatever's next, Lord, I'm going to follow you no matter what the world may throw at me. So my encouragement to you is that sometimes we all, as Christians and believers, have to go through our valleys, and it's going to come. There's no person in the Bible where everything in their life was just perfect. No one. Look at Job. You know what? He took what? The devil said, what? God said, what? You can't touch Job, but you can touch everything that he loved. And it did. It happened just that fast. It took everything. But Job never turned his back on the Lord. So I say this to you, like, hey, you're gonna go through those valleys. Just remember who you serve and stay focused on that, and everything else will solve itself out. The burden is not yours, it's the Lord's.
Wow. And that's a great way to end that, David, the OG gaming dad. And I wanna say that the situation where you walked into that Walmart and got that yellow switch light, that I think wasn't just coincidence. I think
Abs-
that was
Absolutely.
God just doing that because that doesn't happen. That
That
normally doesn't
that
happen.
doesn't happen.
I I barely got this thing right here.
Right.
It it did not happen easily. It did not happen on accidents. I had to work for that.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
so I think the Lord just set that up so that you could have your community, you could have your audience, and that you could ultimately
So we could have
glorify.
this interview today. You see how
Exactly.
powerful it is, right? Uh,
Exactly. And, know that, I love what you're doing. We'll go ahead and put, David's, link in the, description below on YouTube, so
yeah.
check out his
Listen, yep.
stuff.
I am on YouTube. I am on I'm Gaming Dad 1906 on Twitch.
There we go.
I am also Gaming Dad Zero on TikTok. And oh, Gaming Dad 3 on Instagram, and Gaming underscore Dad 3 on X.
Cool. And so you
There's
are
so many,
all over
right?
the place.
Right, so many.
I always watch you
Yeah,
on YouTube. That's
yeah.
that's my go-to is just
Yep,
you.
listen, that YouTube is every Monday night at 8:30 PM Eastern Standard
Okay.
Time.
Okay, so
Yeah,
that's Eastern Standard Time. At what time? 8:30 again?
8:30,
8:30. Okay,
8:30.
awesome, guys. Check out David's stuff. David, thank you so much for being on. And to all the viewers out there, always be kind, use your mind,
That's
and
right.
game on.
Absolutely.